back. This is Adventures with Dr. Joe. Today we're going to discuss and go through the use of the Stihl 2-in-1 chainsaw sharpener. This is probably the best chainsaw sharpener on the market for two reasons. One, it sharpens the tooth of the chainsaw beautifully, but also adjusts the depth gauge, also known as the Raker, to maintain that consistent depth of cut for each tooth. Let's take a look at a chainsaw tooth. This is a diagram of a chainsaw tooth. This is the top plate, and what I've colored in red is the area that's sharpened that cuts the wood. The gullet, the side plate or the cutting edge, and the top plate, also the cutting edge. This whole area is sharpened, and that's what cuts the wood. In front of it is the depth gauge, also known as a Raker. The Stihl 2-in-1 chainsaw sharpener has three files, two of which are used for each side, because the teeth are alternating, and that keeps the bar and the chainsaw in perfect balance. If they were only cutting on one side, it would radically pull the chainsaw to the side, but they're balanced, so every other tooth cuts in a different direction. That's why when we file, we're going to file half the teeth in this direction and flip the bar over, and half the teeth in the other direction. So this is another view, the side view of a tooth of a chainsaw. Here's the cutting edge, and here's the Raker or depth gauge. This is an important amount that needs to be consistent for each tooth to allow for ideal wood cutting. If we sharpen just the tooth, this will get deeper and deeper and deeper, and the depth of cut will get less and less and less, and the chain will become less effective and basically unusable after a while. So both of these, the tooth and the Raker or depth gauge, need to be filed at the same time. So let's take a look at this. Again, three files: round, flat, round. You can see the round, round, flat, round. And when you look at these files, they're very nice. They are made in Germany. When we look at this 2-in-1 file, we'll notice it has 3/8 inch P. That's the pitch, not the diameter of the file and not the diameter of the surface to be filed, but it's the pitch. The pitch of a chainsaw blade is the distance between three rivets divided by 2. So 1, 2, 3. This distance divided by 2, and in this case it's 3/8 of an inch. Now, the file for this is not 3/8, but it's 5/32, and this is the most common. Other pitches are 1/4, and there's actually even 3/4, but 3/8 is by far the most common. I've highlighted a few things on this file. Notice 3/8 pitch, the direction that you should use this, and the orientation of the chainsaw. These files are made to use in a push fashion. You have a much better ability to keep this level and in control when you push. Pulling is not advised. There are some videos that show people pulling. These files are meant to be pushed. So you can see this would be the orientation of the chainsaw. This is the direction of the pushing of this, and then when we flip this around, look, it has to be reversed. So here we go again, chainsaw orientation, the direction of the push to sharpen the teeth. Also, this bar has lines, and these lines are how you should orient this with respect to the saw. So it's not like this, it's like this, and we'll see this once we put the bar in a vise, which is the best way to sharpen your chainsaw. Here we have the chainsaw in a vise. This is a Wilton C2 vise that I did a complete restoration on. There's a video of that, and what we want is we want this to be level, so you can see with the spirit level that we're in good shape. And then when we are filing, we want this to be level as well. We want our file to be perfectly level, so it ends up being basically perpendicular to the bar of the chain for the best sharpening. So if you're out in the field and need to sharpen your saw, you can use one of these devices. You literally pound those two stakes into a log, put your bar here, crank it down. It's pretty good, but nothing beats a super heavy duty stationary vise like this. So use this when necessary, but bring it back to the shop for the vise you get the best sharpening. The first thing we're going to do is mark the tooth, the first tooth that we're going to sharpen. And we're going to sharpen this, and then when we come back around, we're not going to sharpen it again, because we want to sharpen each tooth basically the same number of strokes to keep every tooth as identical as possible. That will give us the smoothest cut. So when we make our first cut, we're going to be using this round file and this flat file. And notice these lines, we're going to have these parallel with the bar, and we're going to engage the first tooth with this deeper first file. Okay, the bar is level. We're going to engage the brake so that the chain won't move, and we're going to start at our first tooth, which we've marked. And again, you sharpen the tooth you mark, and then don't sharpen it again when you come back around. The file, we're going to orient so these lines are parallel to the bar, push direction, and we want to keep the file level. And if it's level, we'll be perpendicular to the bar, and that's going to give us the best sharpening. So we'll engage the deep round file with that colored tooth. Will be level. Just there. And then here we go. And I could feel a difference and hear a difference. After 4 strokes, we've got that first chain, that first one, and we're going to now move to the next tooth that's in that same orientation, which is this tooth. Lock the bar. Here we go. Bring that next tooth around. Keep going. So I got 5 pushes, and I can see the sharpening going on the tooth and on the depth gauge. And this will be the final one, because the next tooth we come to is painted. So now we've completely filed all of these in one orientation. We're going to turn the bar around and file the opposite tooth. Okay, we've flipped the chainsaw around. You'll see we've got it nice and level. And we're going to start filing now in the opposite direction. Again, we're going to highlight again the tooth we started on. And we're just going to go 1 tooth away from that. So I've flipped the file around to the other side, because you can't file it this way. This is not right, because look, we're perpendicular to where we want to be, because these files are reversed. One is oriented in one direction, one's in the other. That's why we have to be mindful of which file we use. And again, notice the orientation of the chainsaw. Notice the orientation here, it's exactly right. This is the way the chainsaw looks. And here we're going to go to the next tooth, and we're going to start our filing, pushing correct orientation. We're going to lock our blade. So again, we sharpen these until we come to the marked tooth, and then we stop, and we're done. So this is a terrific tool. I recommend it highly. The knockoff Chinese ones, half price, 20 bucks versus 40. I think this will last a lifetime, whereas those, it's your call. But this is the way to go, and we'll look up close at the tooth and I'll show you what we've done. Okay, let's look at that tooth. Notice the shiny depth gauge or raker here. That's been sharpened, but also the gullet and the top bar has been sharpened. This has a small burr on it. That is totally sharp. We'll look at the face of that. All right, so let's take a look at a tooth close up. You can see the depth gauge or raker is shiny. That's been cut down, and then the face of this tooth, the top edge and the gullet have been sharpened and are shiny as well. So that's the case with every one of these teeth. You can see the raker is down, gullet is shiny, and the top level is shiny. So when filing, this is typically a 30-degree angle that you're 30 degrees from the bar of the saw, and again 90 degrees are perpendicular. This is something to consider. This chainsaw sharpening 2-in-1 by Stihl is excellent. They do recommend opening this up occasionally and bringing the files out and rotating them a little bit to expose a new cutting surface. I haven't found that necessary yet. This is working well, and I've used it to sharpen many times. It works great. If this was helpful, thumbs up, please. Consider subscribing. Thank you.